Hello and welcome everyone to the EOS Fireside Chat for October 4th, 2023. I'm Andrew and I will be your host today while Stefan is still enjoying his well-deserved vacation. We've got a packed show lined up today with 12 topics and some special guests to provide context and clarifications for any of our questions. Today we will be talking about Leap 5 updates. We'll be talking about the Hypha beta launch and token sale. We've got Kate to talk about ChangeNow and their USDT listing. We've also got some updates on EOS Labs, some updates on Upscale, formerly Eden, and the elections that are coming up. We've also got EOS Support with some initiatives. We've got Pomelo halftime stats. We also got a new milestone of 6 million EOS accounts, as well as a new EOS Rebels or Build on EOS coding tutorial with Nathan James. And then we've also got a new article from the ENF about USDT bridging and some of the innovations there on EOS EVM. And we'll also talk about WordProof and their podcast and some new stuff from Upland. So before we get started and do a little bit of housekeeping, again, thank you everyone for joining us. We're live on Discord, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Make sure to like and subscribe, whatever platform you're enjoying this on. We love it when you participate in the show. So whether it's in the text chat or if you're going to join us on stage in Discord, we want to hear your thoughts, your comments, your questions about today's topics. And one more thing, don't forget to share some emojis and memes for more fireside hype. And one last reminder, well, I'll probably remind you at some other point during this chat, but we've got POP token giveaways, so make sure to go to the POP chat and claim your POP token for today's fireside chat. And then you can feel free to mint your monthly raffle ticket for October. All right. So let's get started with Leap 5.0. So we recently got some new updates about Leap 5.0, some of the features. The EOS Network Foundation released an article that presents an overview of the new features and updates on other features that'll be slated for a future release. So I can share that blog real quick, and I'll just outline some of these features. Maybe we can get a little bit more context to some of these items, but I will share with you what my understanding of it is, and then maybe Eric Passmore can pop in and correct any of my misunderstandings. So some of the new features in Leap 5 include relaxed smart contract execution rules, meaning they're less strict. They enable larger and more resource-heavy transactions, which in particular benefits EOS EVM along with other CPU-heavy transactions. In addition, there's been a 400% boost to some transactions with lots of ABI requests by doing the deserialization step in the background without letting it block the main processor thread. In addition, now Leap includes parallel processing of read-only transactions on up to 128 threads. In addition, it boosts the computation speed of certain heavy CPU EVM transactions through optimizations to EOS VM OC, and that is the EOS virtual machine, not the EVM. And then OC, which I may have heard referred to as OC mode before, and I assumed it stood for overclock mode, but I think it actually stands for optimized compiler. And then, in addition, we've also got a streamlined sync process, as well as a memory-optimized chain base, which reduces RAM consumption by upwards of 20%, which is pretty important for the EOS and other Antelope chains, which are inching closer to 128 gigabytes of RAM, which is the maximum RAM allowed by processors that are designed for single-core performance, which are best for keeping CPU usage low. Also new options for node operators, including customizing their node setups and using Prometheus logs and leveraging the efficiency and security of local-only connections between nodes. In addition, there's a few items that have been included but have yet to be activated. One of those is disabling deferred transactions, which we've actually talked about on this Fireside before. BPs have disabled them, and a future upgrade will remove them entirely, but at this point, that is a feature that will not be active until a later upgrade. And in addition, we've also got some new cryptographic primitives, which are the basic formulas required for executing encryption algorithms. These are implemented as host functions, which means that they are baked kind of further into the low-level code than if it were coded into a smart contract, and thus they're more efficient. These functions allow smart contracts to carry out mathematical operations with the BLS 12-381 elliptic curve. So this is the cryptographic formula that's used in zero-knowledge proofs, which if I understand correctly, and I probably don't, it is specifically the formula y squared equals x squared plus 4. But more importantly, it will make privacy-focused zero-knowledge solutions more efficient and more usable. So maybe now I will invite Eric Passmore to correct me on any of these things that I potentially misspoke on.
Yeah, I am here, and Brian Hazard is here with me as well, and all sounds good. There's so much in Leap 5, and I'm happy to go over them. What would you guys prefer? Would you prefer just a brief overview, or is there any that are interesting that you would like to dive into? Any thoughts?
I know I already have a question about the streamlined sync process. So I remember back when we were looking at upgrading to 3.1, there was a lot of, I was doing a lot of communication trying to just let BPs and other node operators know what steps they needed to do. And one thing that surprised me was if you needed to resync, for example, if you had a blocks log that was from 2.1, we won't get into that, but if you wanted to resync, it was going to take weeks, like maybe even upwards of a month. Is that the process that has been streamlined? And does this mean it doesn't take weeks to resync a node from Genesis?
No, it still is going to take a long time to resync all those nodes. I think this is the peer-to-peer stuff. If you dropped a peer and connecting to a peer again, not rebuilding from Genesis.
I see. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that it takes a long time. It's a very, very large blockchain. Terabytes on terabytes.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that have sped up the rebuild from Genesis using different techniques that, just lots of streams going at the same time to load something up within, I don't know what the exact time is, but not months, like days at most. Those don't really have anything to do with Node EOS. It just has to do with how they actually got the history to the node that they're trying to rebuild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm aware of solutions like Firehose that can drop that amount of time down, but it sounds like it's basically wherever you're trying to get your history will determine that. So you said this particular improvement is for peer-to-peer, is sort of a peer-to-peer improvement?
Yeah, I'm going to go look up the notes. I'm not, and Brian, you can jump in because he's a little bit more familiar with the peer-to-peer stuff than I am. But I'm going to go look at the notes before I...
yeah, I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, sounds great.
Perfect. Yeah, so I just in the chat I shared a few bits of notes that are relevant. So there's a asynchronous block fetching change here. So most blockchains and indeed Leap in the past sort of pause while you're retrieving blocks, or sorry, while you're applying blocks, and like pause on retrieving blocks. So basically, this will continue retrieving sort of next batches of blocks while applying the current batch. There's also features where latency of peers is now tracked and used in sync selection, sort of like where you'll request blocks from. It'll automatically select from lowest latency peers. And then if there's some changes to the sort of deadlines that are applied for speculative blocks as well. Those are the primary things here that are in 5.0 related to Streamline Sync. On the note of the syncing from Genesis, it is a topic that's near and dear to our heart and something that we do have our eyes on. In fact, Eric, for sort of a Genesis replay testing, has been doing work exactly in that space, doing sort of like call it multi-threaded replay from Genesis. So that is something that is, you know, an area of research and in the works, but it's not part of 5.0.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting to hear. It seems like the most important things are the things that are happening frequently. So I'm happy to hear that those peering improvements are part of 5, especially because one thing I want to highlight is I've been listening to your guys' node operator roundtables, and that is a feature that was specifically requested at those node operator roundtables. Specifically, I think was the and I mean probably a lot of these features have been requested there, but I think there were specifically highlighting latency between peering nodes and selecting the best peering node based on that. It's cool to hear that that's out there, because I remember that being discussed.
Yeah, and another thing that's been discussed in this calls that's in here are these memory improvements. You know, the state memory can take up quite a lot of space in memory, which obviously has very practical sort of cost implications, right? And so a 20% reduction in the sort of memory footprint of that state data is significant. And we actually have identified and tested another improvement that for a next version that should be able to reduce that by another 6%. So some big gains being made on that front.
Huh. I'm curious. Maybe nobody else in the Fireside Chat's interested in this, but I'm curious technically how you're able to take off that big of a chunk of the RAM.
Yeah. So what we did is we looked at every single record that was in there and looked at the number of records that we had, and the pointer size that we had could index far greater than the number of records we would ever had. So we changed the pointer sizes to be smaller. And by doing that, it made every single record smaller. And so when you're able to take these, pointers and make every single record smaller, it works out to be these huge cost savings. The additional cost savings, we're looking at structures that just aren't fully utilized. So we're able to pare those back, and they had been eating up some additional space. So that's where the future savings would come from.
Huh, that's interesting. I had no idea that it sounds like the namespace of the pointers was way bigger than you guys needed, or than the network needed, if I'll be more specific.
Yeah. I mean, you build this stuff out, you never really know how big it's going to be, what the true working set's going to be. But that turned out that pointer size, the number of records we're indexing, was not the bottleneck, right? The bottleneck was just how much memory we had. With EOS, you get like a 20 gigabyte in memory state. With other ones that are larger, you'll get up to 100 gigabytes of memory space. So that was the real limit. And you just have to make adjustments for your real working set to shape the software to fit the needs of how we're actually using it.
Yeah, and if you're interested in the gory details, I pasted in chat something that goes kind of like halfway deep, if you will, and then and that's an excerpt from the release notes, which will be released when 5.0 is our release candidate 1 is made public. So yeah, you can kind of get some of the details there, and then when the you can also look at the pull requests for this if you really want to get into the weeds on like how those optimizations were made. So.
One thing I'll add that we haven't covered is that one of the features that was, or two of the features actually that were, well, maybe I'll say three, that were initially slated for 5.0 have been sort of pushed forward or pushed back. I don't know which one it would be, but to essentially the next release. And one of those is the disabling of deferred transactions. We do have a question in the chat about this next one, which is the cryptographic primitives. Which I'm really interested in those because of the privacy implications and the ZK proof implications of that one, and then also instant finality, which was sort of slated for this release. There was some testing, and it turned out that one needs a little bit more work. But can either of you speak to maybe the reasoning behind not activating the cryptographic primitives, like adding them in the software but not activating them as a chain feature?
Yeah, so I think we're kind of looking at it from the opposite direction, which is the reasoning for including the protocol feature in the release, and while not necessarily advocating for a protocol upgrade to occur. So the reason for including it is because it still has significant value from a perspective of being able to, test these things on test nets and things like that. But as far as, activating it, on a mainnet sort of context, I think that absent we might get into the instant finality conversation, but absent the instant finality piece of this, there's I don't think there's a strong case for activating the protocol feature today. Keep in mind that the BLS like crypto libraries are still available within Leap. It's just that the host functions have not been or will not be activated until a protocol activation is done.
I see. And the host functions are just to make it compute more efficiently on the EOS VM, yeah?
Yeah, that's a part of it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, probably a vast oversimplification, but that's
yeah.
that's what I've got on my mind.
On the theme of making compute more efficient for EOS EVM, you mentioned EOS VMOC, and first I want to confirm, yes, OC just stands for Optimized Compiler, but it's a significantly more performant runtime, and one of the changes we made in this release is that there's a new mode that sets the default runtime for system contracts, among other things, but the important thing for what I'm about to say is system contracts to this EOS VMOC, and that means that EOS EVM being on the EOSIO.star sort of account, which means it's a system contract, benefit from that optimization, which the level of optimization really depends on the specific computation happening, but in some cases it can be orders of magnitude more CPU efficient. So.
Yeah, I wanted to jump back to the BLS conversation, like why it's unlocked too. So, I think that there's a lot of potential, but we were really looking at some of these BLS to do things like zero knowledge proofs or cross-chain communication. And when we looked at other chains like Ethereum, right, we would really want to see them having some of the BLS precompiles in place. and they don't have it. So we were sort of struggling with, well, okay, if we have these BLS stuff and we unlock it, it would be a breaking change, but how is the community actually going to use these things? So I think getting feedback from you guys about, if this is something important that you really want to see unlocked in production, then I think it'd be great to get that input and figure out how it would be used. And that's kind of where we are on the BLS stuff. The BLS stuff is really critical for us as we look forward to instant finality, doing cross-chain communication. It's a fundamental building block, so I'm glad that we have it in there.
Yeah, this gives the community a chance to test it on the test net. Maybe Kylan might, enable it earlier, and then once that has been sufficiently tested, it can be brought onto the mainnet or other mainnets, Wax, Telos, etc. All right. Any questions about Leap 5 that are eating at anyone's mind? Can start the music here, so we got a nice little.
I mean, if there is time, I would like to go into the read-only transactions for a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. Let's dive into it.
Yeah, and then also the serialization deserialization is pretty interesting as well. But we only have time for one. So the read-only transactions, now we can get up to 128 threads of work going on in parallel. And this isn't just for transactions that you are sending via read-only, but it's also for other stuff like get block, which is also currently going on in the background, stuff that we're doing all the time. And so having that number of threads is great, but you have to understand that we had to do a lot of work in order to really get it to work. Not just adding the threading and unlocking these new levels, but we had to create a whole new memory context for these read-only threads, because we didn't want each thread to churn up a whole bunch of memory. We wanted to share it, especially if it's read-only. WASM, right? Instances, now there's only one of them that's shared between all these different read-only threads. Compile contracts used to be compiled twice, right? Now they're only compiled once and cached once, and all the read-only threads can use it. So that means if you fire off a read-only transaction of your own contract, that's going to be compiled, it's going to be cached, and any other read-only thread can pick that up. So there's a lot of amazing work that went into that. There's a lot of blockchains that are talking about scaling their write transactions. It was really cool to see us, working on the read side, because we're pretty far along capacity and latency wise with the write side of transactions. So I'm really excited to see workloads shift over to read only, and I want to see how it works out in practice. It did take a lot of effort to really do this properly and put it in place.
And as I understand, I feel like I've heard a lot of node operators complaining about get blocks and how it sort of stops their nodes, or at the very least, sort of slows down execution. That's kind of one of the big reasons why there's a lot of node operators run a blocks only node, a node that's specifically devoted to providing that get blocks service. So it sounds like this will allow just pretty much any node to do that, and it's not going to mess with the write transactions that are happening on just the main thread.
Yes, in a nutshell. But I would say that more importantly for that particular scenario is the work that was done with serialization. So now with serialization, if you go and do like a single item, it's on its own separate thread, and it'll get deserialized. But for get block, which has multiple items inside of it, what it's going to do is it's going to ship all that work off to a different thread, and it's going to start working on deserializing all the stuff that's in get block. And that's the most expensive part. Once it times out, what's going to happen is it's going to give you everything it can as deserialized, and the rest of it's going to be raw. And so now get block's not going to fail anymore, right? When it used to fail. Also with a combination of Unix sockets, I think that's great as well. This really makes get block a lot more reliable. And I think that deserialization work and that threading work is really the bigger benefit for get block. And so I'm really excited about that as well. Now, if you are getting blocks back and you're getting raw hex back and you want it to be deserialized, we can work with you on setting some limits higher for more processing time. And since it's more of a read-only transaction, your read-only settings aren't going to impact anybody else. Now, I have to say that read-only is only available on API nodes. You can't have a block producer node that's also has read-only threads. They just don't work together.
Yeah, and as I understand, multi-threading on write is, for example, that's what Solana is trying to do, and they've experienced a few issues with that.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, I mean, we want to address our bottlenecks, right? So, I mean, I think a particular solution that may work for Solana may not be the right application for us, right? So, we do have multiple threads. Like we are multi-threaded already. I mean, our net threads and our HTTP threads, they're all separate from our main thread. But we do have a main processing thread for, doing most of our stateful changes, our consensus work. And that makes a lot of sense. If you look at large large-sized institutions that also have to run a lot of, matching or book order stuff, like New York Stock Exchange, you're going to see a lot of single-threaded stuff, single-process stuff. And the reason is because it's faster. There's no locking issues that you're going to run into. There's no contention for mutexes. And it just ends up to be a lot faster and a truer path to scalability. So I think, we have lots of options if we do run into bottlenecks of things that we want to speed up. I would say that we kind of are multi-threaded already, but yes, there are definitely the part that's driving consensus is on a main thread.
Yeah,
that's great.
To add some color to this, I think something that a lot of folks may not realize is, I think if you imagine a node operator and what their infrastructure might look like, your sort of first starting point might be that there's like a machine, a single machine running a single instance of Node EOS, which is the software, the node software for that powers Antelope networks like EOS. But actually, node operators and especially block producers tend to run for a single network multiple instances of Node EOS across multiple machines. And then when you multiply that by the fact that many of these block producers are doing block production across multiple Antelope networks, they have quite a sophisticated sort of infrastructure footprint, right? And then you add into that like API providers and things like that. That's there's sometimes folks wear multiple hats. Where I'm going with all this is that having options like parallelized read-only transactions and making sort of read-only like API calls like get blocks more efficient can have sort of non-incremental impact to the level of infrastructure that's required to to operate as a node operator. And there's even been some sort of flirtation in sort of node operator discussions with sort of ending the need for whole categories of nodes, moving forward with some of the improvements. So anyway, yeah, it's these are impactful changes, and also as folks adopt the read-only transactions more and more as a way to sort of interact with getting data from the blockchain, we'll see things get more and more efficient.
And I can attest to that. Just looking in the operations channel for EOS Nation, I can see there's always a lot of discussion about all the different transaction relay nodes and the block producer nodes, and yeah, there's a very complex and kind of well designed structure that at the very least EOS Nation has for our infrastructure for our nodes. So that, yeah, I definitely see the benefit in that. Anyone else have questions for Eric or Brian or anything else on Leap 5.0? All right, I think we can move on then, unless did I just hear someone with a question? All right. So our next topic is Hypha DAO and Hypha, their beta launch and token sale. Hypha's been building a comprehensive DAO management platform since 2019 with a focus on modularity and flexibility. And now, after years of waiting, Hypha beta access will be released on October 11th. That's 1 week from now. So make sure to secure your spot for beta access. I can share a link right here for the beta sign up. And if you haven't ever beta tested a product, I would highly encourage it. It feels good to be useful. And all you have to do is you try to use something, and then you complain to someone about the parts you don't like, and then they say thank you. It might be good to throw in a compliment or two while you're at it, but it's I personally really enjoy it because it allows me to almost direct the development in a way of a product. You can learn more about it. I got another link here. Yoink. There we go. Hypha is also having a token sale. While I will not specifically endorse any token sale, I can at least lead you to where you want to buy the tokens if you're interested. And if you'd like to learn more, Hypha and a few others did a Twitter Spaces with the ENF focusing on DAOs. And I was listening to that last night, and it's a great lesson. I recommend it. So I think Joaquim from Hypha, I think, is in here, or was earlier. Am I saying your name right?
Yes. No worries. I have so many different versions of that name, so anything goes.
Yeah, you're welcome to correct me, though. I like to know the truth.
I like diversity. Thank you, Drew, so much. I mean, you basically spelled it all out. There's not much to add for me. Thank you, first of all, inviting me to the Fireside Chat here, and I enjoyed the Twitter Space last night very much. It was a great call with Patrick and Brandon and others here. So yeah, my name is Joachim Stroh. I'm a co-founder of Hypha. And as you said, we've been working in this for a couple of years, almost 5 years now. And now we're ready to launch. So we have announced it in the email that you just shared there. Take a look at it. There's a lot of content in there. And you'll find things like a town hall that we'll do on the same day, on October 11th. Sign up for that. It'd be great to have you there. We have our new website out there, so go to hypha.earth, check out our brand new site with a lot of information, including some of the new DAO services that we're going to launch on the same day. That includes things like a founders table, a round table for DAO founders wanting to dive deeper into what the DAO is all about and how they can use it for their specific cases. There's a DAO activation group that will step you through the DAO canvas that we developed to sort of boot up a DAO and go through the necessary steps and find the right building blocks for your own DAO. And then some expert deep dives. And that's just the beginning of a series of services that we're going to offer. There'll be other services. There'll be service DAOs. Patrick just posted something here that anybody in the EOS network can boot up their own organization, their own entity, and use the DAO software. We also have Hypha Labs. That's a new thing we've created for this launch. This is about badges. Badges for people who want to participate as an ambassador or as an affiliate, or later on, or consultants. So people wanting to help out in bringing people on board to understand how the business will overlap with, intersect really with DAO software, and then developer badges too. So that's all coming. We're really excited, to finally get this out the door, get it to EOS and ready to launch it. Lots of features. We went through the ENF grant program and sort of fine-tuned everything. It's still called beta, as you mentioned, right? So there are still, some things we're ironing out. And there are a lot of features actually already on our priority list, So as soon as we launch next week, then we'll get ready to work on the new features. Things that will include a community space around the DAO. Things like an ecosystem explorer space where we actually connect the different DAOs, and a lot more in terms of governance and some methods, and even elections, is one. The upvote feature is coming too. So a lot of stuff is on the roadmap there. And maybe if I take a minute, step back, the DAO, what's different with the Hypha DAO than all the other DAOs that are currently out there? So Hypha has tried to sort of go beyond the sort of infrastructure DAO that you have typically out there. That means we're kind of getting sort of into the next generation of DAOs. Just like blockchains are evolving, right, from first, second to third generation blockchains, becoming more efficient, energy efficient, and faster over time. I think DAOs are evolving too. And I see us being sort of reaching out to this third generation DAO. It's a DAO that has the capacity to handle a lot more complexity. Complexity in terms of how do you build an organization from the ground up, right? So it's not just a community space with a treasury, right? The traditional infrastructure DAO, but it's much more than that. It's a way really to build and create your own organization. And organization can be anything, right? It can be a community, can be, a cooperative, can be a village, if you want to do that. But the key for us is to say that, well, there's some, structural elements, there's some pieces, some building blocks you want to put in place before you launch something like a project, that is, focused on a bigger purpose. Why are you coming together? And I think the Hypha DAO can support that view with sort of structural components. Like you can build circles inside the DAO. You can create roles inside the DAO. I mentioned badges. We're using these badges, the affiliate and the ambassador badges, also within the DAO context. So you can also define how you want to reward people inside the DAO, right? We have a whole salary and compensation system inside the DAO that you can fine tune and configure to your needs. And that's an important point for us because we see that every single DAO out there will have different needs, right? They will have different ways of how they set up their organization. And we want to make that as configurable as possible and give you sort of the tools that allow you to fine tune it and to sort of build something to exactly your purpose, right? So that's the DAO container, that's the DAO context where we're trying to lower the entry barriers too, right? So there could be, if you look at, how traditional organizations operate, right? There are about 330 million out there, and they all follow the certain, a formula of, well, you'll get hired into an organization. There's an HR department. There are 25 interviews to do before you can get close to being hired for a company. This stuff all goes out the window with the DAO context. Because you can decide how you bring people on board, and the barrier of entry is so much lower. You can offer a quest, let's say, create a quest, do a project for us, get to know some people inside the DAO, and then go from there, right? Rather than scanning through resumes and background checks and HR departments, right? You can do that much more efficiently and really effectively, I would say, than in a traditional way, where you really don't know if that person is a good fit or not. So it has much more open boundaries. And it also invites people into, finding really their true purpose. Why do I come to that? Where's my passion? And how do I find the others in the space? That's why, the DAO, as we build it, we called it DHO at some point, decentralized human organization, where we really wanted to put the human at the center. Even though it's, often placed as a trustless environment, fully automated and lots of algorithmic decisions, we believe humans are at the center, right? They're at the helm. It's about building the trust inside the DAO, the relationships that lead to sort of a more aligned and sort of coherent space that then allows you to move forward in much, better ways than if you have someone on the top and, issuing orders, right? Or you're forced into a box like in a traditional organization, sit at your desk, and then you can't break out of this. That's your space. So the DAO for us is much more a dynamic, much more an organic space, right? That can expand. You can add circles, you can add roles. You can go to sub-circles, you can expand much further. I can also contract, right? So if you find things don't work out, well, then you shift things around and you can rearrange it inside the DAO. Last thing I wanted to mention before I, open it up for any questions you have. The DAO is meant, not as a standalone thing, right? We're seeing sort of shifting out of the sort of competitive mindset, of the industrial age, more towards what we really meant to do here, which is connecting, reaching out to others, and collaborate and coordinate around larger issues, right? About larger problems. 2 weeks ago, I was here in New York City at the Climate Week. And this is where you see, lots and lots of different players coming up with solutions. But what we need here in this space is really a way to coordinate all of these different initiatives and say, hey, we're coming together here. Let's arrange who's doing what, and then let's tackle these really difficult problems. Because it's not so much about competition. It's really about how we connect and reach out and figure out how to work together on this stuff. That's our motto on the webpage that we have. It's how we achieve more together, right? Not in isolation, not as a standalone fighter there, but with the others. And for that, we're really starting to get into a whole new space of ecosystem building. So beyond the DAO building itself, right? How do you build your organization from the ground up, or transition it from an existing organization? We also, really very much promote the idea of, well, you're now a player, you have a DAO. Where are the others? How do you connect to the others out there inside an ecosystem? So it's a whole new boundary around that could contain, other 100 DAOs, right, coming together and forming alliances, forming connections that help you to tackle these problems. And this is a new space for all of us. This is really exploring what it means to exchange value, exchange knowledge, exchange, formats and really more structural elements. Patrick highlighted that so nicely yesterday to say we do need some structural components here. If we leave everything, in the open there and undefined, it won't get us anywhere, right? So we do need some of these agreements, that we see in the DAO space written on chain, right? And from there, we can always refer back. You can see who was there. You can see who voted on what, right? You can see the conversation around it. But it's there, and it's this thing that's off the table, right? You have an agreement, and then you move on to the next big thing. And I think that's all I wanted to say at this point. So the ecosystem space is really this new space that we are really excited about. Once we have more and more DAO players coming onto the landscape, connecting, and then tackling the bigger issues, and then more ecosystems from there, right? Around blockchains, around regenerative movements, initiatives that we're supporting very much in spaces like socio-political movements. We're active in that. Socio-cultural things, socio-psychological things, even, shifting mindsets, changing education, new ways of building schools. There are a huge number of use cases here, and we're really excited to explore that in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, I can say I'm also very excited for the Hypha beta launch. Actually, so excited I signed up twice. So you may see two Andrews in there. I'm curious, is Hypha eating its own dog food? Or like how much does Hypha use Hypha to run the organization?
Yeah. Right. Believe it or not, we've used it from day one. A couple of weeks ago, I actually looked at the first interface we created on day one. We used it at that time, 5 almost 5 years ago to build Seeds, the regenerative currency. And we started it as a DAO, right? And since then we stayed inside the DAO. We always had an organization that is very flat. It's based on sociocratic principles. Never had bosses. Nobody can tell anybody else what to do. We never had an HR department either. And we just arrange ourselves in these circles, in sort of more, strategic groups like a Hypha council that we have. And make decisions, and based on these decisions and outcomes, we move forward quite progressively. It doesn't go without, bigger discussions, of course. There are tensions in these organizations; they're unavoidable. But you can figure out a way to do it. Even think about it. Even for 4 or 5 years, even not interfacing with traditional, say banking systems or legal structures, right? We only did that very recently to have sort of a grounding, because now we're going, into the open, launching this as a commercial product. Of course, you need to have some anchoring there, but it works. And that's the beauty of the DAO to me, is you can do this without being so attached to what people think, is necessary. And a DAO can do that, it's decentralized. You can see a lot of sort of rethinking happening too now in traditional organizations. Should we be so centralized? Should that be so top down and command and control driven? Or are we ready to sort of open it up? Open it up in terms of, well, there's Gen Z out there. They want to see a different workplace, right? They want to work in whole different ways, right? They want to be recognized. They want to be participative. And I think the DAO provides that kind of context. We're at the beginning, really, of a whole new journey here, too.
Yeah, I feel like that, as you were saying, everyone's really looking at different ways to run a business. And I feel like one of the big issues with DAOs has been the lack of tooling. You're just sort of kind of the only way traditionally to run a DAO is with token weighted voting, and that has its own issues. So I mean, I said it already. I'm very, very excited about. I got two different DAOs I'll be setting up. That's the plan, at least. Awesome. Anyone in the audience have any questions for Joaquin?
I had a quick question. So this is Stephen. Of course, I've worked with you guys a little bit in the past on this front with Hypha. It's been really exciting to see some of those progressions. There's more a question for people who may be new to DAOs. I'm interested to just ask about some of the things that have been worked on lately to really help with user education and easy onboarding, as I understand that there are some really nice templates that you guys have put together and stuff. And as people may not be as familiar with how to use all of this different tooling and stuff, I think you guys have done some great work to help people get up and running. So maybe you could just speak to that quickly and maybe encourage a few more people to even sign up for the waitlist.
Sure. Thanks, Stephen, and thanks for sticking along through the different milestones. There it was a great project. So yes, I would encourage you to go first of all to the Hypha.earth website. We recently added a whole new education section. So we posted lots of new videos there. These are videos from the DAO activation series that I created in terms of the operating canvas model. Then Dominic has created some great how-to videos to see how do you actually use that software. What are the first steps you're taking there, right? There's some motivational stuff out there and some articles we posted too. I think that gives you a good picture of what this is and how you go about it. But then also, all of the DAOs are open, right? So you can peek into any of them and see, okay, here are the people they have, onboarded. And that is, I have to say, this is during the alpha program. So that was really a space and time for us to figure out the basics. So not much activity in those DAOs. A few of them are very active, but the majority just tried it out, right? But I think you can sort of continue looking at that space as it evolves and really learn how they structure their organization, what kind of proposals they're putting out there, and then get a feel for it. So for me, I mean, yeah, we could put out a lot of more documentation, and we will put more of this out there. But it's hard to read all of this. For me, this has a lot to do with experience it yourself, right? So if you are willing to create your own DAO, we have a free plan, right? You can set it up with a few of your first, co-founders, colleagues, and try it out. Then you see how it goes for you. And then again, learning from others, in the same space. So for me, we're trying to focus on sort of expertise in, say, in a socio-political space, on the socio-ecological space, right? Because the patterns that you see coming out of these spaces will repeat, right? And these are patterns that we can then package, and you mentioned templates, right? Put them into templates to see, so here's a DAO, here's what you need, right? So here are the fundamental building blocks for your template in a socio regenerative space, right? You have a bunch of proposals, policies. Here's a constitution that others have been used. Here are typical roles you see. This is how you reward people. So it can get you up to speed a lot faster, right? But then you still have to process it. And that to me is one of the sort of harder things to overcome, because once you enter these kind of decentralized spaces, you're really leaving the old mindset of where's the boss, who's reporting to me behind, right? So now you have to reorient yourself, see who else is there, sort of find the resonance, find the alignment among the others, find your place really inside the DAO, and then move on from there. So it's for me, it's reorientation, rethinking a lot, but with an open mindset, with people like you guys here. I mean, you're already so open about this. I mean, you've developed this, fabulous technology for so many years. I think it's almost natural for you to move into these new spaces and then see what's possible from there.
Yeah, and I just want to thank you for answering a question that I forgot to write down, which was about templates. And that's cool. I was thinking that as far as setting up your own DAO, it'd be very handy to have a template to work from. And that seems like a good way to do it, sort of section them off by their use case. That's great. Any other questions for Hypha DAO?
I have got a question for Joaquin. This is Perry from DNews.
Yeah.
Hey, Perry.
Hello. To me, it seems the core of this, a core of a DAO, is incentivizing people from different locations, different interests. Could you walk us through the different ways that Hypha would incentivize its contributors? All the way to, how do they actually get paid? How does that work? What options are there available for somebody who's designing their DAO to incentivize people with actual compensation?
Sure. Great question. Yeah, let me dive a little bit into this. And I'll give you Hypha, as an example. We've been building this product using our own compensation model, right? Our own way of creating structure in the organization. So we have multiple ways of doing that. The standard way is sort of a contribution. You see something that you contribute to the DAO, right? And in return for your contribution, you earn rewards. And the Hypha DAO has 3 types of tokens to reward. So number one is what we call the utility token. So in the Hypha DAO case, it's the Hypha token, right? That's the utility that gives you access to services. But it's a token that you can earn, right? Because eventually it will increase in value, and eventually, you can use that to exchange it into other currencies. But so Hypha is one utility token. The second one we have is what we call a cash token or payout token. That's a token that you can use for redemption purposes, for people who more urgently, let's say, need cash, to pay their own bills. And the Hypha DAO supports that through a redemption process inside the DAO. So you could say your compensation is, say, 50% in utility tokens and 50% in these more liquid payout tokens. And then from there, you can just decide it in your own DAO. What is the treasury? First of all, do you have some funds to pay out these more liquid tokens or not? And then take it from there. And then there's a third token, and that's also very important for us. It's called a voice token that is now tied to the governance model of the DAO. So you earn the voice over time. So the whole DAO is based on a concept called contribution accounting system. So you contribute, and in return you earn these tokens. And the more you contribute, the more tokens you earn. And each DAO can define, what the contribution is. Are we getting, we have these call it bands, or tiers that you can assign the vault to. And then reward people accordingly. So in Hypha we have 7 tiers. 7 tiers meaning more strategic, high-level work. Outreach work is probably B5, B6, B7. More routine work, standard, stuff can be, in a lower category. But as soon as you are sort of voted into this role, then you start earning the tokens, right? So again, we have contributions, as a simple one-off thing. You contribute, you get the tokens. Or we have more of the long-term view of the DAO to say, you actually want to stay with us. You want to stay with that DAO that you create. And you earn that role, and you get into the role for 2, 3, 6 months, for as long as you want to stay there. And then we have a third category. I want to mention that briefly, and then back to you, which is called quests. Quests are like gaming quests, almost. You define a quest is in 2 parts, right? So quest is something you initiate and say, hey, I want to do this for the DAO. Here's what my proposal looks like. Here's what I'm going to do, and here's what my reward will look like once I complete the quest, right? So you post that in the DAO sees it and votes on it. And if it passes, depending on the governance setting you have inside the DAO, you get to work on the quest, and then at the end you post sort of the completion of the quest. And this is where you automatically get the payout that you proposed in the first part of it, right? It's a voting process, because we do need to do some due diligence. Every DAO needs to do that for quests. And then you get the rewards. Finally, these quests, we're going to, I mentioned the community layer that we're going to roll out in a few weeks. The community layer will also have the capacity to launch quests. So you could invite people into your community space that are a bit further away, right, that are not directly engaged, maybe not have a role, maybe are not part of the circle, but they want to engage with the DAO. And for that, we have these community quests, right? So they can jump in and say, hey, I propose something here. Maybe find a sponsor inside the DAO core team, and then do the question and do the same thing what you can do inside the core team of the DAO. So multiple ways really to start participating in the DAO and start earning tokens. And you can start right away because every DAO has already sort of the built-in a native token or utility token. So you can reward people for that. And that represents the value that you're building up over time. And that's really important because you're here for a reason, right? You're here for building something, a product, a service, something that eventually will have some value for the wider network. And that's the token that represents that kind of value. Too.
Are there markets, trading markets for any of the tokens, but especially the payout token? Like, how do you actually go about getting a fiat currency that you could pay bills with?
Sure. Yeah, real quick. So the liquid token I mentioned, the payout token, is tied to some treasury token that you're holding, right? That can be Bitcoin, that can be EOS token, right? That the treasury is holding, and as soon as you request that as part of your compensation, right? Say 10% of that is in liquid tokens, get that directly into your wallet. Something I didn't mention here, which is really important, Hypha also created its own wallet for this. So every transaction will go through your wallet to the Hypha wallet, and that is compatible with other wallets like Anchor too. But it's much easier to use the Hypha wallet here, and you can see, I think that's a feature that's coming next week or so. You can see all of the tokens you're holding inside the wallet, and so they go directly into your account, and then you own that, right? And then you can go take it anywhere into any exchange, and convert it into fiat currency if you like.
And is that a custodial or non-custodial wallet? Hypha wallet.
Non-custodial. So we will have no control over the tokens that members are holding. That's the idea of Hypha. I mean, Hypha itself, the name stands for mycelium in the soil, right? We're just there to enable things, right? Invisibly and connecting things. And we're not owning any of this, right? This is about you guys creating your own organizations, you're holding your own tokens, and as decentralized as possible as we can bring that. Yet staying connected, right? In this universe we are building together.
Now, right now, it's a difficult moment in the crypto space for tokens, for ICOs, and the like. If you can't answer this, if you feel comfortable answering this, if you don't, that's fine. I completely understand. But how how would you see the Hypha token gaining value? Or were you just speaking generally? Each DAO can create their own utility token, and in the case of Hypha, it's your Hypha token. But I guess I'm speaking specifically to the Hypha token. How would the Hypha token gain in value?
Sure. Great question. So I'll give you a little bit of background, and I encourage you again to look at the Hypha website. At the bottom, you see there's a section on a tokenomics white paper. So the Hypha token is tied towards a tokenomics model that we created with Darren for quite a while now, and we're launching that together with the Hypha DAO. What this is, it's a definition of the utility token of the service the token represents, right? So all of the activities, if you sign up for a plan, you pay in Hypha tokens. And if these Hypha tokens are gaining in value because more people are using it, because the sort of tokenomics are evolving based on this, we also are able to create a sort of a economy around this, and reward people by staking Hypha tokens, right? So one of the plans we have is the ecosystem plan, where you can stake tokens for larger DAO deployments with a larger member base, right? And each member will require to have a certain amount of tokens. I think it's about 5 tokens or less each, that will now be added to the tokenomics model, right? And that's how we see Hypha works as sort of a business that in itself provides value to the ecosystem, to the network. But it's only us, right? So keep in mind, this is Hypha tokens, and that utility we provide. Every single DAO will have its own utility token and hopefully provide their own services, right? Can be technology services, can be, products, can be things like you want to know more about legal representation and legal organizational forms. There can be a DAO for that, right? I think Patrick already mentioned, some of the DAOs he's planning to launch there. Every single DAO can have its own utility, and they can use these tokens to say, hey, if you want to have access to these services, well, here's how you get them, right? And then that can be used as working capital inside your own DAO. Yeah, I didn't get into. Yeah, so
Go ahead.
I didn't get into the regulatory landscape, right? How difficult it is, out there right now in the US, and I think to be honest, Europe is making great strides right now. They have created the MiCA regulation. So MiCA stands for Markets in Crypto Assets. And they did a great job really on defining, what kind of tokens these are, what's a security token versus what's a utility token. So there's clarity around that, regulatory clarity. Here, less so, it will take time, I think, before that exists. Stuff here.
Yes, the U.S. is failing pretty bad in crypto. I want to give other people a chance to ask questions, but I want to ask one last important question, which is a follow-up on the token regarding scarcity. In other words, are there any features available to DAOs and ultimately to the community that holds the token that set or guarantee scarcity? In other words, the quantity of the tokens themselves.
Every DAO can decide that on their own terms, right? They can set what the quantity is. We have a limit of tokens for the Hypha token. Others will have different limits that they can set. Up to unlimited. When we started Hypha, we said it's a contribution accounting model. So the more value we create by people contributing, by going on quests, taking on roles, the more tokens should be there, right? That was the early model here, and that's to me still a valid accounting model, because if the assumption is that the value will increase of the token, and you're not going overboard suddenly, right? So if that increases slowly over time, you still can continue to use that and even go to secondary markets at some point, right? We changed that because of the tokenomics white paper. Thanks, Patrick, for sharing that. That's great. Take a look at that. And we have a limited contingent of Hypha tokens right now.
That's great.
Okay, thank you, Hakeem.
Anytime, ready.
Yeah, just a shout out for that excellent Q&A section. Thank you, Perry, for your excellent questions, and Joaquim for your answers. Very enlightening. So now I think it might be a good time to move on. We can talk more about Hypha DAO later or next week, seeing as that will be the launch day itself. But for now, I think we can move on to our next topic, which is ChangeNow USDT listing, which we chatted about last week. But this week, we've got Kate in the house, who's going to help give us a little bit of background. So, Kate, are you available? Thank you for sticking around. Appreciate it. Do you want to give us some background on the project and the story behind the partnership?
Yeah, of course. Thanks. I hope you can hear me okay. Yeah?
Yeah, sounds great.
Awesome. Great. Yeah. Well, happy to be here and happy to share something about ChangeNow and also now payments. Because so we have this whole Now Solutions suite of tools. One of them is ChangeNow, which is an exchange service and also a liquidity aggregator. And the second one is Now Payments, which is a crypto payment gateway. And both of them support EOS and, as of recently, EOS USDT, which is amazing, especially for payments, I believe. And just to give you a very quick overview of what you can do with ChangeNow and Now Payments is this. So ChangeNow has a cross-chain swaps API, which other projects can use to integrate cross-chain swaps. For example, if we have a wallet that wants to add USDT EOS swaps to and from like 900 other assets that we support, they can take our API, integrate it, and then their users would be able to swap to and from EOS, USDT EOS, and all of the other 70 blockchains that we have. And the cool point about this is that we also have fiat on-ramp right in the API because we have the fiat endpoints. So that's for ChangeNow businesses. We also, of course, are a service for users, so people can just come to ChangeNow website and do cross-chain swaps. That's ChangeNow. And as I mentioned, we have Now Payments, which also supports USDT, EOS, and stablecoins on Now Payments are one of the most popular assets for merchants, of course, because it's stablecoins. So what is possible now is that any kind of business can start accepting USDT, EOS, or allow people to pay in it. And we have custom solutions for different kinds of businesses. So we have like a custom API for the NFT marketplaces or just marketplaces. We have custom API for gaming and also gambling and also e-commerce because we have like special plugins and so on. And last but not least, both ChangeNow and Now Payments can keep adding more tokens, EOS tokens or any other tokens, because we have this solution being a liquidity aggregator, we can basically list any token that is anywhere. And if it's not anywhere, then we have our own liquidity pool solution where we can use project's liquidity and integrate the token anyways. And it will again be available for cross-chain swaps with USDT, EOS, and other tokens, and for payments. So I guess that's a very short overview, but I just covered like 10% of what we can do. So I'm just hoping you like for a Q&A session if it's of interest for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was doing a little bit of research, and 900 currencies is pretty impressive. But there are over 9,000 cryptocurrencies to choose from. So I'm just curious, how does ChangeNow Payments decide which projects to partner with and which assets to include?
Yeah, good question. Thanks. So it works both ways, meaning that some projects come to us and ask if they can be integrated and so on. And on the other side, we do some kind of like research on our side and see what kind of assets would make sense for merchants to have, which kind of assets are like very popular now, which L1s, L2s, L3s, or whatever are there and would be in demand. And based on that, we do our integrations. Like, for example, with USDT EOS, our focus was to try and add as many stable coins on, the most perfect blockchains that we can find as possible, so that our merchants would be able to use stable coins and enjoy the, low fees, for example, or fast processing times, and so on.
That's very cool. It gives some good context there. I'm curious too. So we got ChangeNow. There's Now Payments. I was looking. There's also Now Tracker, Lightning Now Nodes, Now Custody.
Oh yeah.
Are there more Nows in the works? What's coming soon in the Now world?
No, well, that's fun. Yeah, actually, this is a whole ecosystem. Like I mentioned, we have Now Solutions, which is like solutions, crypto solutions for business, which is ChangeNow, Now Payments, and also Now Nodes, and Now Custody, like you mentioned, because we're trying to create like every solution for every kind of industry that might, require anything out there. And then we have projects for users, business to customer, B2C products like Now Wallet, Now Tracker, and something else I keep forgetting. Because myself, I'm more on the ChangeNow Now Payments side. I'm all for payments and cross-chain swaps. But we do have Now Wallet, for example.
That's cool. Yeah, I think that's for traditional businesses that are trying to get into, or maybe trying to leverage some of the benefits of blockchain. I think that's a really important piece of the puzzle. Sort of giving them an onboarding option that's, that they're familiar with. Be here now, says Lovejoy. Yeah, that's very cool. Any questions from the community? Take a little QA here. One question that cropped up last week while we were discussing this was regarding subscription payments. Mm-hmm. I was looking at Now Payments, and is that an option to have subscriptions? It looked like there was some sort of, maybe you preload the your account or something.
Yeah, this is a cool question. Thanks. It actually brings me to what kind of payments we allow. So we do have an API for recurrent payments, like subscriptions, where merchants can set up email subscriptions for their customers and emails and the frequency, and the emails to their customers would go out, like for example, once a month or once whatever, with the invoice, and it's done through our API. We also have other custom solutions, like for example, an API for mass payouts. If you want to do rewards, send rewards to thousands of wallets or whatever, or send salaries. That's actually my kind of dream, to get some big company to send salaries and, for example, USDT EOS to their clients, which they can if they use our mass payouts API. So yeah.
So it's more of a monthly invoicing kind of. It's not like automatically pulling the crypto from someone's wallet, as I understand. It's sending them an invoice, which then they'll sort of.
It's kind of so if we're talking about mass payouts API, it's done like this. Like for example, a company can create a custodial account using no payments. So usually we are non-custodial, and your funds, I mean merchants' funds, they don't go through our accounts. They go straight to the merchant's account. But if a business's business model requires custodial flow, then they can create a custodial account with no payments. They can store their funds there, and then when they need to, for example, send payouts or salaries to their employees, they can do that via our API. In one click, they would be able to send funds automatically to many wallets from their account, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's sort of it's like a way to do payroll, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a very, very fun use case. I'm just dying to see it implemented somewhere.
Maybe I can ask a different way about subscriptions. Let's say I have a website and I want to charge all of my logged in users. I want to offer all my logged in users services for a monthly charge. How close to a subscription should I get using your service?
Yeah, that's if I understand the question correctly, that's exactly what you can do, because in your account you would be able to set up for example, you can add sorry, I'm just trying to remember how the account for the merchant works. But yes, you can add your customer emails, like a whole spreadsheet of them, and then set up the recurrent email with the invoice to them with the frequency that you choose.
And then when they get that email, then they at their leisure, at their convenience, they choose to pay or not.
Interesting question. Well, yeah, I think it's usually how it works with subscriptions. So they get the email with the invoice where it specifies when, how they should pay.
Well, not all subscriptions work that way, and I'm just trying to understand where you guys are at. I mean, it's okay if you're not, because I don't know if any other services have gone that far to have an automated subscription service of the kind that
I see.
right? The normal kind
Mm-hmm.
that you would use with your credit card is what I'm asking.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, sorry. I just blanked on the normal flow for subscriptions. Yeah, so where we are at is this, in this case, semi-automatic subscription model, where the automatic part is the sending of the email, the invoice, the frequency, but it's not charging your client's wallet automatically, because that's I don't think it really works with crypto. Maybe there is a way, but it's not something that we do right now.
I would suggest that that's almost better than me getting charged $20 every month for something I signed up for a long time ago and forgot about.
And then forgot. Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
From a customer standpoint, I'm sure from the business's standpoint, they much prefer just taking it out of my or putting it on my credit card every month automatically. Two sides to every coin. All right. Any other questions for ChangeNow here?
I can. Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remembered of something to add to this conversation about automatic stuff. So we have, for example, this custody solution, no custody, which you mentioned. What it involves, for example, if we're talking about marketplaces, the marketplace would have its kind of master account, and it would be able to create kind of deposit accounts for the users or players or merchants who are using this marketplace or game or whatever it is. And in this case, the deposit accounts would be able to set up recurring payments to the master account, if that's of help. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. So it sounds like you can set up sort of, you can almost deposit like a maximum amount that you would want to spend on that service, and then it can automatically deduct that until it runs out, and then you can recharge it if you want.
Kind of like this, yeah, but it would have to be like this whole API solution enabled for this particular business, because it requires, again, setting up a big account, the deposit accounts for each of the user, player, or merchant. But yeah, the model would be more automatic.
Mm-hmm. That's very cool. I'm stoked to learn about the API. Just that you guys offer those. I had seen your services in terms of like the wallet and stuff. That I was impressed with that already. But yeah, seeing that developers can leverage these solutions in their solutions just by using the API. That's very cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, anything else on this topic? Open it up for if anyone's got any questions. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kate, for joining us, and thanks for all the questions, EOS community. Hope you stick around. Got lots more to talk about. All right, so moving on to our next topic. We've got an update from EOS Labs, which was covered in the September EOS Block Producer meeting recap, and I will share that document here. There's lots of stuff in here, various things about, for example, Leap 5 and the sort of the scope of Leap 5, which is there's details in this article. You can check it out if you're interested. But on the EOS Labs side, EOS Labs, under the leadership of founder and CEO, I preemptively apologize because I'm going to try and pronounce this, Joaquin Wen. And apologies if I got that wrong. I'm terrible at pronouncing things. Anyway, Joaquin Wen has been actively engaging in various projects and investments, or rather EOS Labs has, to enhance the EOS ecosystem. So recently the team communicated with 107 different projects. 22 of these are related to investments, and 4 are currently in the onboarding process. EOS Labs is cooperating with licensed and compliant institutions like centralized exchanges to issue Bitcoin, stablecoins, and other assets on EOS. Labs is also looking into introducing real-world assets in the future, which could bridge the gap between tangible assets and digital assets. This is something very similar to what Chinta is doing, and they may even be working together. I don't have any information on that, so that's mere speculation on my part, but definitely they're in the real-world assets game. And this all provides new investment and utility opportunities within the ecosystem. And then in the gaming sphere, EOS Labs is reaching out to various game developers and platforms with a particular emphasis on social games, aiming to integrate and expand the gaming experience on the EOS network. Also, they've been exploring a Telegram mini app, which would allow users to engage with games or utilize Web3 applications without having to leave Telegram. So that's very, very cool. Yeah, I'm sure there's all sorts of other stuff that EOS Labs is up to that just was not covered in this article, but yeah, you can feel free to read the article if you're interested in learning more. And with that, I will open it up in case anyone's got questions or comments or wants to discuss about EOS Labs and this update from them. I'll pick a different song for this one. Watching. Or just Winston, I guess. Okay. Watching. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. I'm sorry, Huaqiang, for mutilating the pronunciation of your name earlier. All right, sounds like we can move on to our next topic here. So heads up, I don't know if, I'm sure we have some Eden members in here, but Eden has changed its branding. So now Eden is Upscale, and the Upscale elections are coming up. So term 8, which will be the next term, registration, the deadline for registration is this Friday on the 6th of October. And you got to make sure to register by 1300 UTC, which is, let's see if I can do my math, 5 or 6 a.m. Where I am in Pacific time. Nice. Looks like Jambles will also be in there. So is this? Oh no, that's the Twitter. Let me share the registration link for those who have not yet joined Upscale. You can also visit this link and go through the process of being invited and then being onboarded onto Upscale. Maybe I'll share the new Twitter handle as well, which is UpscaleNow IO. And with that, I know we have some Eden. Sorry, let's. I know we have some Upscale members here. If anyone would like to share a little bit more context about this, you're open to. I haven't been keeping it up as much as I should, so I personally am not best suited to answer questions, but I'm glad to attempt if anyone's got questions here. I'll trigger the music. I just posted a link to the new Twitter, or rather the new X, I guess. Eden and Twitter. Nope. It's Upscale and X. All right, I think I posted the wrong Twitter profile. So that second Twitter profile is the right Twitter profile. Sorry, second X profile. Gonna have to get used to these. that was a fun little DJ move on my part. Sounds like we can move on. Up next, we can chat a little bit about EOS support. So actually got two different items about Twix. We got two different articles about EOS support, or maybe items, not quite articles. One of them is a partnership between EOS support and EVM name service, or EVMNS, which I wanted to highlight because this is the first, as far as I understand, this is the first EVM-based project for EOS support. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about that, there's a post right there. You can check it out. In addition, EOS support has also created an article about how to use pBox, which is a privacy dApp. And I can post about that as well. This is all in the chat if you feel like learning a little bit more. So yeah, if anyone's got any additional context to add to this, you're welcome to. Maybe I'll do a backwards one this time. All right. Moving on. Next, we will chat a little bit about Pomelo. So Pomelo is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I'm the product owner, so you would expect that. Pomelo is now halfway through its seventh season, with over 4,000 EOS already donated from over 150 contributors. We've had 110 applications and 87 have been approved. There's still 1 week left to get your applications in. So if you've got an idea or if you've got a project that's that is a public good and is looking for funding from the EOS community, make sure to get your applications in. And then we've got 2 weeks left for donations. So support your favorite projects and help determine how the network funds the community. Thank you, donors and grant owners, for your enthusiasm and commitment to delivering valuable public goods to the EOS and EOS EVM ecosystems. Next week, we'll be having a rapid-fire fireside pitch session in this very Discord channel. In addition, approved grants can sign up for the regular pitch sessions. There are still slots available. So that'll be with our very own Martin Brewer. And the form is right here. Just posted it in chat, so feel free to sign up for a pitch session. There are English, Chinese, and Korean language pitch sessions. The English pitch sessions will be on Friday, October 6th and 13th at 1600 UTC. Our Chinese pitch sessions will be on Friday, October 6th and 13th, but this time at 12 o'clock UTC. And then the Korean pitch sessions will be on Thursday, the day before, on October 5th and October 12th at 12 o'clock UTC. And for those of you who are interested in joining the pitch sessions, or you're interested in seeing some of the projects that have been on previous pitch sessions, we've actually got a Pomelo collection of all of the projects that have joined the pitch sessions. So feel free to peruse those. And then if you'd like to learn more, you got the perfect platform to go and learn more, which is those aforementioned pitch sessions. So I don't know if we got any, I'm sure we do have some Pomelo participants in here. If you're interested in sharing your experience, or if you got any questions, now's the time.
Hello, Andrew.
Hey, how's it going? That sounds like Patrick.
Yeah, how is going?
Oopsies. It's going pretty good. I did accidentally just re-trigger that song, but that's all good. How are you doing?
Yeah, fine, thank you. I just want to make a commentaire about Pomelo Season 7. So, as you know, it's supposed to be the last season, but who knows, maybe there will be rebirth from the sand when we will be into the next bull run. And I just posted here into the chat the latest interview with Daniel Keys about Pomelo Season 7 update. I encourage everyone to go there and follow the discussion, what we were discussing with Daniel Keys. Different topics about end of Season 6, now Pomelo Season 7, and the ongoing bounty. I'm very, very enthusiastic with those bounties coming, because I will create a bounty with EOS Den, with Pomelo, for the Pomelo users. So that's very important to finish on this Season 7, the grants, and then go to the bounty. So, yeah, just want to say very motivated with this season. I encourage everyone to give to all the Pomelo grants that you love. There is EOS Support, there is EOS Bees, there is the Hidden Reputation by Mo. Shout out to Mo, Chief Delegate with me, by the way, on Tom 7. He has the Hidden Reputation system on Pomelo since a while, so that was accepted again. And there are EOS Vision by Veronica Diaz, give there also. So basically, give to every grant that you can give, collaborate with those grants. That's just not just to give some EOS to them, but try to understand their project, try to enter in contact with, and collaborate, because that's the mindset shifting. We have to collaborate between the platforms. That's very important. You have fantastic project on Pomelo since the beginning. And yeah, I encourage everyone to go there and donate. Also, if it is one EOS, that's okay. The gesture is there, and there is the quadratic matching formula amplifying the numbers. So yeah, and do your best on this season, and be very honest with your donation between the project that you support. Play the game, play the rules of Pomelo. That's public goods. So who knows, that will maybe continue after season 7. But for the moment, there is a break because the market conditions. So I say Pomelo could rebirth of his sands, and it's not the last time, I think. There is more to come. Like you, Andrew, shout out to you. I love Pomelo. So go Pomelo.
Go Pomelo. I love it. Yeah, and thank you for that great call to action. Yeah, this is the last season until we're going to go into sort of a hibernation period while we're releasing bounties. But I will say that I am also very excited for bounties. I have been looking at it in the context of how would I want to use this, because I do want to use this. I have Pomelo funds for a project that I would like to work on, and they've just been sitting there waiting for some sort of bounty platform so that I can post a GitHub issue and then just pay someone to work on it. So that's something I am also very much looking forward to. So thank you for highlighting that, Patrick. And that's we're still working on kind of finalizing it to the point where it can be where we can release it in beta.
Okay.
And that will be very soon. This is we're targeting the end of this sprint. So
excellent. I am ready for that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think that's not the first time you've heard that from me. But just know that I understand your enthusiasm, and the intention is there on our side, and we're just trying to get things all squared away before we're dealing with actual dollars.
Yeah. The Pomelo Play token.
Yeah, well, so we're looking at moving to actual tokens for the testing. So that way you can actually post a real issue and actually have someone really try and claim it. It's hard to get someone to work for like junk play tokens that don't have any liquidity pool anywhere.
No, I want to say shout out to the team Pomelo. Also, you are not using Shopify to do the website for the bounty. You are not using the Shopify. You are using another website. You do your own thing under the umbrella of Pomelo. And I think that makes sense to separate the things, loosely coupled. Then you can just connect the website between them and enrich the experience of Pomelo, the Pomelo main website with the bounty, because that will be accessible from there. So I am very cannot wait to see the UI. I think that has been approved by ENF, correct, Andrew? The UI has been tested and approved, correct?
I don't know what you'd call approved, but we have shared it with some ENF engineers. Lovejoy got a chance to try it out, as did Nathan James.
Yeah.
But I will let you guys know we took your feedback and embraced it in stride. There were a few UI issues that we had to rethink the flow a little bit, but that's so thank you to among others, Lovejoy and Nathan for your
if Lovejoy has tested, I think it's okay. Yeah, we can use.
Yeah, agreed.
Because he complains about everything, so if it works for me, then
that works for others for sure.
Yeah, this is like what I was talking about earlier about. That's what's fun about beta testing is you just play with the tool and then you complain about it. And it turns out that's actually what they want. That's what we want, though.
Yeah, I will go to Lovejoy in case, and I will claim something. No, thank you, Brandon, to have make the test. That's very securizing.
It was fun, and Drew made it fun, and I'd never actually done that before, so it was kind of cool to go through the process, and then, by golly, they made changes that reflected my actual input. I was just floored, and it improved before my very eyes. So, yeah, loved
You're
it.
the first Lovejoy tester, indeed.
Oh, and I wasn't the first tester, and I wasn't the last tester. It was just somewhere tucked in the middle there, somewhere.
Excellent.
Yeah, we tested with our own team before shipping it out elsewhere, but you provided some very valuable feedback, and a lot of it wasn't in what you said. It was just in us watching you go around the site and click on things and try and figure out where things are.
Like, look how confused he is. It's right there. It's right there. Click it. Where I don't understand where to go next. What do I do now?
Yeah, exactly. That input is often just as valuable, if not more valuable, than actually, writing down the things that you notice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Anything else on Pomelo? All right, moving on. Just a real quick shout out to the EOS network. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but the EOS community has surpassed 6 million accounts on the EOS network. On average, this represents adding more than 1 million accounts each year the chain has been running uninterrupted. So quick shout out to the GMs and the MLTs of the EOS world for providing your namespace and your UX expertise in helping onboard users onto the EOS network. I, I don't know if you guys have accounts. I'm one of the 6 million. Or actually, I think I'm 5 of the 6 million, but who's counting? And yeah, I don't know if anyone has anything to say on that. That's not much to say. 6 million. It's a big number. But with that, I think we can move on, not too much to talk about there, to a new EOS Rebels coding tutorial, which is related to something that I remember talking to Nathan James about a few firesides back, which is the To Don't app. So let me share this link here, which will allow you to build a To Don't app in 20 minutes. Using Next 13, and I can't see the rest of the preview, but I'm assuming it's Wharf as well as...
This one is EVM, actually.
Okay.
So it's using Solidity, Hard Hat.
Uh-huh.
There's actually a couple interesting things here, so I'll just dig in for you. There's a new tool in there called Quick Hat. Hard Hat is a development framework for EVM chains, and it's particularly annoying to set up. You have to grab dependencies and then wait to see what you don't have, and you have to grab more dependencies, and it's got a really bad flow. And also setting the configurations up is wildly annoying. So a new CLI, a command line interface, was created called Quick Hat, and it sets up all of this EVM development tooling very quickly with just one command line. And it also sets up EOS EVM within there. So you have access to all of the other networks as well as EOS EVM, putting it at the top of the stack, making it kind of the very first class citizen of hard hat development. And then inside of this guide, as you said before, this is from the EOS Rebels. So we do things that others don't, and everybody else creates to-do apps. So we're creating a to-don't app. And it's going into some of the latest and greatest technologies, one of them being Next.js 13, which is, if you've ever heard of anything related to web development, you've probably heard the name React. It's created by Facebook. It's the most widely used framework for creating web pages, basically. And it digs into some of the new stuff there, putting it into a real build-as-you-go-along application while showcasing developing a blockchain application using the EOS EVM. So it does both the smart contract side, it does the web page side, it connects everything together using a framework called Ethers, which is also one of the most used front-end SDKs or web page SDKs for all of these acronyms, web page software development kits for integrating blockchain applications into websites. And it does it as quickly as possible. So learning how to do a blockchain application as you follow along in 20 minutes is not an easy feat. And it's aimed at a little bit more of a technical audience versus the target of an inexperienced audience. And the goal here is to showcase the features of Quick Hat, which is this command line interface toolkit to be able to raise the Ethereum development testing framework while putting EOS at the forefront of it, and also get other developers who are interested in blockchain development but have not had a chance to kind of mess around with the new features of some of these tools. So it pulls them through this in the attempts to get them to develop on the EOS network as something new and exciting alongside the rest of these new and exciting tools.
That's cool. I'm curious, the Tamagotchi app that we were taking a look at, that used the EOS Web IDE. Presumably, since this is EVM, it's not using the Web IDE?
That's right. So this is the other side of it. In the Ethereum/EVM world, you have Remix, which is kind of Ethereum's Web IDE. And then the other side of being that development cycle is developing locally. And that's where Hard Hat, this local Ethereum development framework, comes into play. So this we couldn't use the EOS Web IDE for this, even if we wanted to, because it's specifically targeted at EOS native and it doesn't support EOS EVM development, because there already exists another Web IDE called Remix, which does support EOS EVM development.
That's cool. So does this tutorial also cover deploying to EOS EVM?
It does. So it deploys to the EOS EVM testnet. While I was recording it, I actually had it deploying locally, and then I decided to scratch half of the video that I already done and redo it to make sure that it was deploying to an EOS network throughout the video instead of just an additional thing at the end, because in a lot of these YouTube videos, they don't reach the end. So I wanted to make it very certain that people who watched at least halfway through the video were seeing the deployment to the EOS EVM testnet.
That's very cool. That's smart. That's great. One thing I'll add, I realize you mentioned EOS Rebels does things that nobody else is doing. But as it turns out, Paris Hilton actually created her own Tamagotchi app. I don't know if you saw that, but I do remember you offering a 50 EOS 50 EOS bounty to the first person to build the Tamagotchi app. So I don't know if Paris Hilton knows this, but she is the winner. So
actually, I said deploy it to the EOS network, which nobody has yet, which is astounding because you could literally just copy this down to your local. There's a video which will tell you how to do it. So go do it.
Yeah, and I think just based on looking at the comments, I think Paris Hilton released it on Aave. I don't even know how to pronounce that blockchain. But that's a good point. She did not deploy it to the EOS blockchain. So,
in our defense, we did it first.
Yes, by
Paris Hilton is just copying EOS.
Yeah, fair enough.
What?
So it's not as if so EOS Rebels was really first to the party.
Oof. That's right. Everybody else is just copycats.
That's a good news. Very good news.
And our very own Martin Brewer responded to Paris Hilton's tweet by sharing EOS Rebels Tamagotchi tutorial. So if you feel like boosting that, feel free to like, awesome, retweet, etc. Help boost its reach.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm curious, is there also going to be a prize for the first to build the To Don't app? I feel like maybe there will be more interest in a To Don't app. I know I was mentioning it to someone. I think I was talking with Brandon earlier, and he was like, I could really use a To Don't app. Which, fair enough.
We could all use a To Don't app. I'll tell you what. There's since we're going to grow this list of bounties, and the challenges app is not ready yet and is behind a couple other more important things that are aimed at bringing developers into the ecosystem versus keeping them in the ecosystem. I will set up a spreadsheet and relay it to all of the EOS chats, and this will serve as our really dumb MVP for the challenges system to get people starting to build this stuff.
That's cool. Is the challenges system that you mentioned, is that another tutorial that's going to be coming out?
No, it's an addition to the Learn portal. So it's actually pushed up to the some of it is pushed up to the main branch because I had to push other stuff there. But it's the same kind of thing, right? They're just challenges that developers have to do, and they gain points. And at the end of X period, whether it's 2 weeks or a month or whatever it might be, whoever has the most points wins prizes, right? So it's kind of the same thing that we're doing here. And the reason it's being pushed back by other initiatives is because it's one of those things that you give to developers who are already in the ecosystem to keep them engaged and really just keep them within the ecosystem. But right now, it's way more important for us to bring new developers into the ecosystem. So some other initiatives like the cohort that we're planning and a couple other things that I don't think we've talked about yet are taking precedence over it.
Huh. Well, that's cool to hear. I love gamification in general, and I think gamification of coding is a great way to incentivize people to join in and actually, do the work, if you will.
Couldn't agree more. I think so. The thing with this specific initiative, the challenge is that it doesn't really have to be the app that I'm envisioning or the app that I'm building for the moment. It really can just be a spreadsheet with some numbers and the task, and we'll just float that around for a while, see if people take to it. And if people do it, then I'll put some more effort into having the challenges app take precedence over some other things, perhaps.
Yeah, but I do agree that the getting developers into the ecosystem is sort of like it's the classic sales funnel where you've got it's sort of you get if you have good customer retention, then you can grab them at the top of the funnel, and then it seems like the idea of the challenge app is to sort of keep them in that funnel without the customer churn.
Right. It's kind of pushing. It's also kind of pushing them deeper into the evangelical or evangelism funnel as well. So people have contributed feel better about telling. People have contributed and win things feel better about telling other people about an ecosystem because they're excited that they won something within that ecosystem. But while building it, it constantly feels like putting the horse before the cart, because those other things of the top of funnel pulling developers into the ecosystem is just more pressing at the moment than feeding the developers that are currently in the ecosystem. Not to say I don't love the developers in the ecosystem. I absolutely do. They're all like long time friends of mine, but we need some new blood here, and that's really just the most important thing.
Yeah, and these tutorials present a really good way of bringing in new blood. I'm not a developer, but after watching these tutorials, I feel like I could be. It definitely
that's really the
distills it and makes it less scary.
So looking at the metrics for them is interesting as well. They're doing better than most of the other videos that we've been putting out recently, and they're starting to compound on that channel. So the first one got about a reach of 2,000 impressions naturally from YouTube, just the way that the system works. The next video has already, I think, 3,500 impressions with only 3 days out. The other video was posted, I think, 2.5 weeks ago or something like that. I already have another video which is almost ready, and I'm working on another one. So YouTube, the way that it works is it starts to compound. The more you put out, the more it gives you the ability to reach others, and it tests your videos against others. And it's something that we've been sorely lacking within our ecosystem for a while. Really polished videos that are aimed directly at developers, not aimed at token holders, not aimed at any of that other stuff, not within a channel that is aimed at potentially multiple targets, but just at developers, which is something that the YouTube algorithm really likes and expects. And we just haven't had much of that. I think the last couple big channels that we had like that were maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So it's really pressing, and it's time to start jumping on it. And I'm glad to see that the metrics are starting to show.
Yeah, I was just thinking about, I think, I don't recall his name. I think it might have been Peter. Might be mistaken about
Peter
that.
Key.
Yes. Yeah, I remember he was doing, that's kind of the only content I could find reliably on YouTube about developing on EOS, and that was, I think, released 2019 or something. It was pretty behind the times.
There's a couple of them. There's Peter Key. There's OCI. There's a couple of individuals who are creating content about it. But like you mentioned, they're quite legacy. I actually just removed a bunch of them from the Learn portal because now we're starting to have enough content to actually fill it up. And I don't like seeing that legacy content up there because some of it just doesn't lead you down the right path anymore. You couldn't even develop like that if you wanted to because the tools have changed. So it's really good for us to have up-to-date developer content, which is visual, because we have a really good documentation now for new developers coming into the ecosystem. We have really good new tooling, the Wharf SDK, and all of the EVM tooling is just standard EVM tooling. We don't even have to really worry about documentation for that because there's so much of it already on the internet. So we're missing that one piece, which is visual content for EOS. Because we can use, so you could go right now and take the 32-hour course on Solidity development with Foundry on YouTube, but it's only ever going to point you towards Ethereum. And we're lacking content out there which pushes you towards EOS, but captures the Solidity / EVM / Ethereum developer community, which is a big chunk of the keywords that are being searched on YouTube. So they might search blockchain development, but they also might search Solidity development or Ethereum development, and we're just nowhere within those keywords at the moment.
Sounds like some pretty pro-level algorithm hacking.
Growth
Especially
hacking. I really don't like that term, but it is growth hacking.
Yeah, it's maybe not the best term for it, but understanding the algorithm such that you can tune your release schedule to it, for example. That seems like, it sounds like that's a pretty big part of what YouTube uses to decide what to show to people. How often do you post videos?
So yeah, when you post it's not really important how often you post. So if you have a good cadence, it really helps you. And there's a lot of YouTubers and people on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok less, but there's a common knowledge, and it's common knowledge among the people who create content, not necessarily the wider audience, but it's common knowledge among them that it's kind of taboo to go on like a 2-week vacation and not post anything, because when you come back, it's basically like starting half from scratch again, because the algorithm's just like, oh, you left, goodbye, we're going to de-platform you, basically.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't realize that was a thing. That's awesome. Well, maybe I'll open up now if anyone's got some questions about the build on EOS coding tutorial, or if anyone has anything else to add. I'm sure there's more to talk about there. But yeah, feel free to ask if you got any questions. And I see Jana mentioned Wittgenstein. I was right behind Wittgenstein on the EOS Knights leaderboard back in the day. That's one for OGs. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us here, Nathan. It was cool talking about it, and I feel like I learned a lot about stuff that will be useful for my budding YouTube career. Give it time.
If you want to shoot the shit about social platforms, anytime, man.
Great. Thank you. So I think we can move on now to our next item. We're approaching the end of the show here, but didn't want to finish up without mentioning some of the innovations involved in bridging USDT to the EOS EVM. There was actually an article released about this, and I just shared it in the chat. The EOS EVM is set to launch, and that, to be precise, EOS EVM version 0.6.0, set to launch on October 16th, so that's coming up. It marks a significant advancement in DeFi capabilities, specifically because it allows users to bridge USDT from the EOS native layer over to EOS EVM in a trustless manner. And that it'll probably enhance TVL and liquidity on both EOS native and EOS EVM. The new updates paved the way for new use cases between EOS Native and EVM, including ERC20 token bridging, cross-chain trading, and aggregated liquidity across virtual machines, which is a pretty cool development. It's really a game changer. It offers a revitalized DeFi experience. It offers robust technical upgrades and trustless USDT bridging, which kind of creates a synergy between EOS Native and EOS EVM and unlocks new potential in the EOS blockchain ecosystem. So feel free to read the article if you'd like to delve deeper into the EOS EVM. There's a lot of very specific details if you're into the nerdy stuff like me. And then you can begin your journey through the EVM trustless bridge. This is an item we've covered before, so I'd be happy to open it up for questions if anyone's got some. I don't know how much help I will be, but I will be as much help as I can. So feel free to ask away. I think that's Lovejoy calling me a nerd. Guilty as charged. Okie dokie. We've got a couple more things to chat about here. One of them is a new podcast, or rather a new episode of WordProof's podcast. So WordProof is the... let me share it here. WordProof is sort of a digital provenance provider. They've been on the EOS network for, I don't know, probably 4 years now or something like that. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but I've been seeing what they've been doing for years, and it's pretty cool. It allows you to bring in WordProof into WordPress, and then allows you to hash whatever content you're producing to the EOS blockchain, so you can timestamp it. And this particular podcast is with it's sort of an interview between WordProof and Adobe, the Content Authenticity Initiative with Adobe. So just wanted to shout that out in case anyone's interested. You can feel free to, if you got any questions, have at it. I'll just move on to the next topic, and then feel free to butt in if you feel like it. Our next topic is relating to Upland. So Upland is a sort of metaverse, like real world metaverse game. You can buy houses that exist in real life, except for you're buying them on the blockchain in this metaverse. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that. But they just released a white paper for basically the use of their Spark currency in outside exchanges, which is something new for Upland. Upland's been primarily focused on the Upland ecosystem, but this is sort of bringing it on to the Ethereum network and kind of expanding the use cases for the Spark, or Sparklet as it's called, on the Ethereum network. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can check out the exchange right there. That's where you can stake your Spark. You can use your Spark to build houses and other buildings. You can build a factory. I don't think they have zoning laws in Upland, so you can put that right in your favorite hometown neighborhood. Fortunately, they don't seem to care if you put a factory right next to a school. So, yeah, good on good on Upland for their very flexible zoning rules. In addition, also there is going to be a town hall, and this is going to be tomorrow, Thursday, October 5th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So that would be noon Eastern time. And if I'm not mistaken, 1600 UTC. Someone needs to correct me on that. I don't know if that's right or not. But it will be live streamed simultaneously on YouTube and Twitter, and also at the San Francisco Upland Cafe, which is within Upland. So if you're playing Upland, you can actually go to 722 Montgomery Street in San Francisco, and you can watch the Upland Community Town Hall there. Just a shout out for Upland. I don't know if we got any Upland players here. My Upland play is mostly just logging in and getting my Spark rewards, but turns out I can use those in DeFi now. That's an exciting development. So shout out to Upland. So if anyone's got any thoughts on those last two items, feel free to share. We're getting to the end of the show, so if you got anything else you'd like to chat about, feel free. It's a good suggestion, Patrick. I gotta find that the Homer nerd soundbite, add it to my soundboard. Awesome. Well, at this point, I'll open it up to off-topic discussion. If anyone's got anything they'd like to chat about, I don't know what interesting is happening in the world. I've been too embedded in other stuff to read the news, but I'm sure there are things going on. But if not, we don't have to keep going here. We're past 2 hours, so not trying to do a full 7-hour fireside chat, although that would be pretty legendary. And in fact, it was when I'm just happy I got pop token number 777 from the 7 hours chat, which is exciting for me. Thanks for sharing. All right. I'm glad someone else thinks that's cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. Actually, I was
amazing. Yeah, you asked for news before to wrapping up. So I encourage everyone to register to attend to the Upscale election on 8 October 7, 2023 at 1 p.m. UTC, and you have until October 6 at 1 p.m. UTC to register. So we welcome everyone at this next election that will be very epic. The numbers are growing. Don't be ashamed and register there.
Yeah, shout out. I can't remember if I've registered or not, but I definitely will make sure that I am registered.
I am the only CD today. Here, so I am the only CD here now live, and I just tell you that's the time to upscale. So go there, and we have the chance to be with Brandon Lovejoy as an MC for sure.
Yeah, thank you for highlighting that. I did mention it later, but just it's good to have that reminder. Yana just shared some news. This is vaguely EOS related. There were 69 people in the audience today, so shout out for that. Oh God, sorry, I didn't anticipate how annoying that would be.
We have audio for this. Oh, I can't see the soundboard on mobile. That sucks.
I want also to give a shout out to NS James for all what he's doing recently with this Tamagotchi. I think it's a really cool initiative to let people understand more the development and doing something fun. So Nathan James, good luck with the YouTube channel. And go in holidays 2 weeks, and when you come back, you will have the YouTube channel growing for sure.
I just went on vacation. And I got instantly sick. Like the day that I started vacation, my whole vacation was just being sick. So no, I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Isn't that funny how that works? You give your body just like a chance to like relax, and it's like, oh, I have time now. Okay, let me tell you about all the things that are.
Yeah, I got sick. I got sick after my last trip, but I think there was jet lag involved. It's always something rough.
It's as soon as you stop moving, like after the stress response finally gets a moment to subside, your body like releases everything, and then yeah. So never stop moving, or stop moving really gradually. And
yeah, good advice,
especially this time of year.
So Saturday, October 7, Lovejoy will not travel. He will be 5 hours into the Upscale election.
Yeah, what god awful time do I have to wake up on that day? Central time? I got to figure it out so I'm not late.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be in good health, so you have to sleep for this event. That's very important.
Yeah, I got to sleep, I guess. We'll say, if we can't coordinate to adjust the time of the Upscale elections for next time, I can't. I'm done. I'm out. I'm drawing a line in the sand.
I am for.
We need to coordinate. If only we had some tools to coordinate change the time of the election, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, we need a Lovejoy time, not a UTC time, but a Lovejoy time.
Well, just think about all the poor bastards on the West Coast that are not going to get up, and for me, I think it's like 7 a.m. So that's 6 a.m. Mountain and 5 a.m. Pacific time. So pretty much California is just out. And California is kind of a big deal. I don't know. It's like maybe a big deal.
I will say I have woken up consistently. Maybe not for all of them, but for a lot of the elections. So it's possible, but yeah, I'm back in that too, Lovejoy. You're Mountain Time, I'm Pacific Time. So
no, I'm Central, and it's bad enough. But I'm just
wow.
It's like I'm awake then, but I'm not really awake. I'm not one of these people that wakes up and I'm like, all right, let's go.
Especially on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I'm awake. Tea? Yeah, tea. Okay. Books? Sunshine?
Reggae?
So, yeah.
I'm awake. Phone. Oh, wait. Why has an hour passed?
Exactly. That's how I prefer my mornings. I used to work in really grueling conditions for long periods of time, and I had to wake up and just go, without any.
Are you saying working here is not grueling conditions?
Well, the ability to work late works for me because, days often start with no. These are not grueling conditions. No, definitely not by a long shot. Being able to work remotely. Yeah, like there's the stress element and other things, but I don't know. It's not as bad as waking up on a ship and like dragging yourself down to like the bosun's locker and then climbing up a ladder. Like you've only been awake for like 20 minutes and you're like strapped into some machinery doing some crazy thing on the side of a ship. It's 7:20 in the morning. That's grueling.
You were an astronaut?
Yeah, I was an astronaut. No, I was a merchant marine. So I worked on container ships.
I was going to say, that sounds like a very specific situation.
Yeah. I did it for like 6 years, and it was like 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. So after that, my capacity for like wake up and go was kind of like, I could just wake up and not go for a while. That'd be nice for a change. So thank you.
Dave Rex stating sounds like a good pay.
Yeah, they call it blood money, Dave Rex.
Yeah.
They call it what do they call it? It's like prison with a chance of drowning.
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't. I wasn't smart enough. And that was also too early. That was like before Bitcoin. Just before Bitcoin.
VB.
You are very innovative.
Brandon, there's nothing before Bitcoin.
Well, that's Someday someone will embed a time machine in a Bitcoin block header. It'll be like, we'll all go into it and we'll all come out in another era, and then you'll be completely correct. So you're already correct, technically.
Wonder what the
This is a
transaction would
paradox
be for
because
that one.
blockchain is immutable.
You'd like to think that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's going to be its own. Its own grandfather paradox. That's what they refer to it if you were to go back in time and kill your own grandfather. But similarly, that's like a sort of grandfather paradox or a double spend paradox, maybe.
Yeah.
The Bitcoin paradox.
The Bitcoin paradox. I mean, time travel is really going to just screw things up if it ever happens. So, if it hasn't already happened. So,
if it would have happened, there would have just been 7 billion people in the Genesis block.
What?
You'll know the day that time travel is invented. Somebody said, like, you'll know the day that quantum computing is invented because Satoshi's stack will move. Although there are probably other reasons that could happen also. But you'll know the day that time travel is invented because exactly what you just said.
I had a dream. I have imagined that the EOS price will go to 7.
777?
Yes, 7.7777.
Sounds about. Yeah.
Sounds good, yeah.
Wait, why is it locked to 4 precision? The dollar isn't 4 precision.
EOS is 4 precision.
Yeah.
Is everything 4 precision for you now?
But I am a Swiss guy. For me, it's normal to be 4 precision.
Wait, is CHF denominated with 4 precision?
Why not?
Why not? What is 0.0004 of a Swiss franc? What is it called? Quick.
International number 0041.
Charlie.
Yeah, Swiss is at the base of all the technology. So Tim Berners-Lee is Swiss.
You go one more deep, it's a Richard.
Yeah. And my uncle Pat Novajoy, no, William Novajoy, but here there is Brandon Lovejoy. That's my uncle, indeed.
Now we're really getting into grandfather paradox territory.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm your uncle.
Yeah, you are my uncle. You have inducted me. Don't reminder?
Yeah, my memory is really, it's been a long time.
That was an error. That was the paradox.
Paradox.
Yeah.
The crypto uncle paradox.
The crypto uncle paradox. All right, somebody work out what that is by next fireside.
That sounds like a good call to action.
Totally. At which time you want to do? 1 p.m. UTC, or you prefer what time?
1 p.m. UTC. I think that's 5 a.m. West Coast time, Pacific time. I'm game.
Yeah, I think Andrew has better capability to wake up than Brandon. I'm sure.
Yeah, I just need 7
how
alarms.
You pronounce UTC?
What?
Do you know how to pronounce UTC?
Universal time coordinated.
You say oots, oots, oots.
Oots, oots, oots. Me.
That's how you know what time the dance party is.
Oots.
It's a oots, oots, oots.
Oots, oots, oots.
This kind of sounds like a...
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's what time it is. Dave says Dave Rex says you can go back in time, but your memory does not go with you. So
I may have already gone back in time. I just didn't know it.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, I think we can finish up this fireside chat. Feel free to stick around. We can do a little after chat as well.
Oots, oots, oots.
Yeah, I want to get the oots going. And I want to make sure that we have enough people present that we can actually get a proper Go EOS going. Hey, Patrick, you ready?
Yeah, baby.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Go.
Go.
EOS.
Merde bleu.
God.
Oots, 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 oots.
Hasta luego.
Word.
Hombres.
Hasta luego, Brandon.
Was that music on your side, Dave? It kind of fit with the ending music. Good stuff.
Excellent. Go.